Hey guys, welcome back to Devil's Advocate with Rosebud Baker. Thanks for being here. I just want to thank everybody so much for subscribing to the pod, listening every week. Thank you if you've left a review and have taken the time to rate it on iTunes. You've made a huge difference to me and to the podcast, and I just really love you for it. Honestly, I think I've been needing some good news lately, and every time I check the reviews, you guys are showing up and showing some love, and I really appreciate it. Anyway, if you haven't left a review and you're loving this podcast, please do me a solid. Head over to iTunes, tell people what you love about it, and you will change my life, and my life needs to change. So this podcast is also available on my YouTube channel, Rosebud Baker. If you want to tune in that way, you can subscribe on there and say whatever you want. You can say horrible shit in the comments section. You will definitely find some friends there. And if you're not familiar with the podcast, we do a segment at the end of this where my guests and I offer bad advice to listeners. It's called Bad Advice because it is bad and you should not take it. It's not good. Comedians shouldn't give advice. We're not good at it. We're not good at running our own lives. In case you haven't been on Twitter this week, you can reference that on there. Let's see. Also, if you want some bad advice, send an email to DEVILSADVOCATEPOD.ATC @gmail.com. We'll answer it. And now, without further ado, I want to introduce today's guest. She is a good friend of mine. She is a friend of comedy. She is actually just one of my favorite people. And I've been talking with her a ton throughout the quarantine. You've seen her on The Daily Show. She's been doing hilarious clips on there, especially with all the BLM stuff. Just hysterical. Please welcome Dulce Sloan, everybody.
Hi, friends.
Hi. Thanks for being here, Dulce.
Hi, Rosebud. I'm glad I was awake.
Me too. I wanted to get you on this because today I'm like, I don't know how much time you've spent on Twitter. You have a job, so you most likely don't need to be on there. Twitter is sort of a space for people who are looking to create some meaning in their life when it doesn't feel like their life has any. And that is true for me because I've been on there a lot this week. So I wanted to talk to you because you take a hard stance on shit. You're somebody who is like, this is how I feel. I'm not going to budge. And I was like, she's the perfect person to bring on this podcast because I'm a little more like flexible with stuff, but there's one thing that I feel a lot of different ways about this Dalia thing coming out, right? And,
yes.
Yeah, and a lot of different ways about the way that comedians have handled shit.
Yes.
I think it obviously goes without saying, but I do need to say it anyway, that what happened with him
allegedly
it's wrong. I don't think that it's right. I don't think that you should be soliciting underage girls for attention, sexual attention, affection on the road. It's like, these are people that look up to you. You're using a power dynamic to manipulate them. And
right.
And I'm a woman, so I've been in this situation. I empathize with these women, and so I just want to get that out there and make sure that everybody knows that. So this conversation can be about what it's really about for me, which is just comedy, and without being accused of ignoring the important overall issue. Okay.
Right.
Which is obviously, if you are a famous comedian who's in his 30s, you should not be texting underage girls for sexual attention. Period. Right. The end of story. Now we all know. Okay. Can't believe that needs to be said, but it does. And that said, I have seen in the last week more comedians coming after other comedians like truffle pigs in shit. I just can't fucking deal anymore. I cannot fucking deal with it. All right. It's like a fucking illness or something. I don't know. And if you are a comedy fan and you follow a lot of comics, which I think people who listen to this podcast do, it's got to feel like you are, I tweeted this today, but it's got to feel like you went to a friend's house for dinner and their mom and dad were in a domestic dispute. You probably are just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on with you guys, but it's making me uncomfortable.
Mommy and daddy are fighting and I just came from mashed potatoes and meatloaf. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I just came here to feel good and this is awkward.
For me, I take a hard stance on stuff that I know facts about. Like, I know Black people are being mistreated and have been mistreated since we were forced to come here. I know that you should vaccinate children so they don't die or kill other children. There are women should be paid the same as men, if not more. And that's
these are not extreme stances, by the way.
No, they're not taking extreme stances with this Dulce shit. This is what I will say. Comics that don't work have a lot of opinions. That's what I will say. Comics who, like, Dulce is not looking to see who defended him. He's not going to get you work.
Right.
And so I don't think it has to do with as much as comic coming after comic. I think it's men believing that they should be able to do whatever they want, and people have a number in their head over of what age is acceptable to say something to a young girl.
Right. Yeah.
And so if 16, because it's like, yes,
Agreed.
16 was the age of consent, but there was a case in Georgia, I think it was, what's his name, Marcus Dixon, I believe. He got in trouble because he had just turned 18. That girl was still, he had just turned 18. That girl was 2 weeks from 16.
Who is this?
This was years ago. I think it was the Marcus Dixon case. And so Oprah went down there and got him out of jail. It was a whole crazy thing. And so this girl lied. So it was a Black dude and a white girl. And when her father found out what happened, she lied and said she was assaulted. And her story was
like
wild.
Emmett Till, like a modern day.
Right.
Yeah.
Her story was crazy because at one point she said he undid the zipper on her pants with his elbows. No one can do anything with their elbows. So the jury was like, no. But what he was charged with is statutory, because they thought that they would just...
Was that the first time that someone was charged with statutory rape?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So
okay, because I was like, I thought this was going to go in the direction of like they made up a charge because they couldn't charge. Okay.
Well, what the problem was is that when they charged him with statutory, they didn't tell the jury everything that came along with that. So when they charged him, they didn't tell them that he was going to be a registered sex offender. They didn't tell the jury that he was going to do way more jail time than they had originally stated. So there were all of these things that happened that made them able to appeal the case. Because the jury was not fully informed of all of the punishment and consequences that the defendant could get.
Right.
I say this only to say she was 2 weeks from 16. He had just turned 18. They got caught in a loophole. Right?
Yeah.
The age of consent is 16 in most states. But even if you're 18 and they are 16, it is not, you're not taking advantage of a minor.
Yeah.
But you can still be charged with statutory.
Right.
Because you're still technically adult and they're still technically a minor, right? Even though you're 2 years apart. Now, if you're 16 and this man is 30, go call your dad. Where's his gun? This is wild. Also,
yeah.
Also, I didn't know it grooming. So when I saw that, it was like, oh, he's being accused of this in grooming, and I was just like, what is he, shaving beards? I did not know grooming had two. I did not know grooming had another definition. Because I don't know anything about this world. So I think Matt Richards had explained it to me when we were at McCullough's, and it was like, oh, it's a man preparing a woman so when she's old enough, they can sleep. And I was like, oh my God, he could have just dated a regular woman. Like, this is insane. And it's just, and so I don't, and it's like, you know, a lot of comics have said different things and, you know, let's get all the evidence. And it was just like, but there was a whole Twitter where the girl had all these screenshots from various different women and I was like, this is a CVS receipt.
Yeah, I mean, there were countless, like, there was proof that this happened. It's not
over and over and over and over and over.
And obviously there's guys that are like, oh, that's not proof. And it's like, shut up. Yes, it is. Shut up, idiot. It's all from the same email. It's all from the same fucking account. Shut up, you know? But then here's something else that I've noticed is I will have people, comedy fans, tagging me in posts about these dudes as if it's my responsibility to answer for them. I can defend anything.
What?
Almost anything that a comic says. Almost. What I can't defend is something that they've done.
Right.
So, and also, it's not my responsibility to do that. I'll defend a joke, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'll defend a written joke till the end of time. I'll be like, that's a horrible joke. They shouldn't say that, but it's a joke. They tried a joke. They're a comic. I can't defend. Listen, let him bomb. Let him bomb. But I can't defend some fucking criminal activity, and it's not my fucking job to. So people who are like, they're tagging other comics and being like, you all knew this was happening and you didn't. And it's like,
you don't even live in LA.
I don't even live in LA, but
you're not even friends with him.
No. But
so people still have, there are people that didn't know. Jeffrey Dahmer's neighbors didn't know that he was a serial killer.
Even if I did know him, here's the thing. Even if I did know him, if you have a problem with a corporation, you don't go complain to the fucking mailroom. Right. You go complain to the fucking CEO. Right. And that is where people are, they are directing their anger at, and yes, it's a problem, I think, within our society structure where we put money above people.
Right.
Right. But that's
you can't fix this for people. I had a professor I went to college with, like, in the past, like, couple of weeks. There was some woman on YouTube talking shit about how she shouldn't have to defend her race as a white woman and she should be able to blah, 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 blah. But in the clip that he sent me, it was like even YouTube is pushing her down to the bottom.
Right.
And she says in her post that they're censoring her. And then he's messaging me, you should say something to her. And I was like, I'm not going to give this bitch an audience on on the show that I work on. What are you talking about? And it was like, well, and I was like, if you want to say something to this woman, say something to this woman. But the onus is not on me. Well, I thought it would be great. I was like, you've got one more time to message me or I'm going to block you.
You know, the number of people that I watched in Whitney Cummings' comment section go directly to Whitney when it was D'Elia was the one who was, and Whitney had to put out a statement. I was like, this is fucking bullshit. How is she responsible? And how are you trying to make, it's so fucking obnoxious. Hold on a second.
Because women are always responsible for the actions of men. And you know, you can't say nothing to D'Elia. He's dark now. So it's, well, I can't say anything to him because he doesn't know me. I'm just a regular person I'm just a person in Hollywood, or a regular person on Twitter. So let me comment, but Whitney but I know who one of his friends are. Like, I know who his friends are. And I was talking to a mutual friend and I was like, please tell me they did not know what the fuck he was up to. Because I love them and I'm mad. I can't stop talking. They were like, and my friend was like, no, I talked to him. He had no clue. So if his best friends didn't know.
here's the thing. Even if they did know, what the fuck are they supposed to do about their adult male friend having a fucking issue with, especially when that adult male friend is more powerful than them in Hollywood? You can't, this is the way Hollywood works.
Well, this is also the way, even if this wasn't, say we all worked in an office building. Again,
right.
You said male versus, so if it's a CEO and, you know, the VP is below him, right? Like,
right.
hey,
And
dude,
the VP's secretary is going to get taken down. It's like, what? They didn't have any fucking power to stop this shit. That is my issue, is like this Twitter mob that goes after people because
I have no problem with them going after
powerless.
somebody is wrong. I have no problem with them saying this is something
But the
that needs to be
people
fixed.
around that person.
But don't put Whitney Cummings in it and go, you need to talk to your boy. Whitney probably didn't even know, because I've met Whitney, and I promise you, if she did know, she'd have said something.
Yeah.
But if you're doing that kind of shit, like he was messaging people, he wasn't even using his phone number. He was using emails. He was using Facebook Messenger. He was using other means. It wasn't even his direct phone number.
Yeah.
So you couldn't go in his phone and see proof of the shit unless you could log into his email or his Facebook.
Exactly. So I watch all this happening, and I'm like, and as comics, you go, I mean, you think about everybody you know, right?
Yeah.
And I think about everybody I know, and I go, and the dirt that I have on them, and I go, I mean, nothing that I can think of is criminal.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing that I can think of. That doesn't mean that if one of my friends got caught doing some shady shit, that I'd be surprised. We're fucking comics.
Not only that, we're just,
as
I
human
think
beings.
of it as people first. Yes, because this is the thing. I have seen a lot of comics since I started, and I started in 2009, explain away by their behavior by going, well, you know, I'm a comic. Darling, that has nothing to do with the fact you have been sold a bill of goods. You believe that since you're a comic, you should be depressed. You should be drinking. You should be doing drugs. You should be mistreating. You should be doing all of the unsavory things because, well, you know, I'm a comic. I'm fucked up. Like, do you know how many white dude comics where I've been like, hey, doesn't your family support you? Doesn't your girlfriend like, don't you have all these people behind you? Isn't your career going well? And dude was like, yeah. And I was like, then what's wrong? And he goes, yeah, I guess I'm okay. So there's a difference between you're a person who does those things who happens to be a comic. And then the person who goes, because I am a comic, I can do these things. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because
well, those people aren't comedians. I don't even think of those people as comedians. They're like people that found a disguise for their bullshit.
Ooh, a disguise. That's a good way to put that. But there are people who are working, who are doing, you know, these types of things. And I can say the people I know who are working, who are doing that stuff, aren't running around saying, I do it because I'm a comic. They say, I do it because I like it and I do it. It's the people who are not successful that run around with the, well, you know, I'm a comic, I'm fucked up. Sweetheart, don't put that on me. I have a good life. I'm not here for any of this nonsense.
We don't have any time for you. It is, it's just a really weird time because I feel like watching Twitter this week, I was like, and listen, this is as somebody who isn't even, hold on a second. I just got damn.
What?
Damn. I just got a message that I think my summer tour dates are
canceled.
Yep.
Well, I saw Jenny Zagrino put up doing dates down in, like, I think Asheville and Louisville, maybe.
Yeah.
And those dates just got canceled because the numbers spiked again.
Yeah,
but
that's
yeah,
because
somebody was saying to me that, like, we might not be out of this until September, then it might not be till next year. And I'm just like, yo, this shit might not be over till next year, dog. Like, really? Yeah. Like, it might not be, like, over. Because, they said the Spanish flu took 3 fucking years to go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
3 full American years, girl. 3 global, non-denominational, worldwide.
It sucks. I'm
calendar years, friend.
If you listen to this podcast and you live in one of the flyover states and people are not wearing masks. I mean, I'm just telling you, if you want comedy to come to you, start telling your fucking friends to wear a mask and stay inside. That's all I can say.
If you live in New York or LA, because these clubs in New York ain't open, the clubs in LA ain't open, that club in Miami is open, Zany's is open in Nashville, D.L. Hughley just passed out 3 days ago.
Just passed out with COVID. Shows were packed.
While speaking. Packed. I saw, girl, I'll send you the video. He was in the middle of a sentence.
I saw it.
And he just lights out for
Crazy.
him. But
I'm so glad he's okay.
Yeah, I'm glad he's okay too. But there's been other comics that have had it. I mean, I know people at my office, but people at my job have had it.
Yeah.
No one I'm close to has had it. It's been this is someone I know's cousin or someone I know's friend or a friend of a friend. Like, no one close to me has got it, which is very much a blessing. But I don't. What I'm truly confused about, friend, is that
you just got distracted by something.
Oh, I just got a text. Sorry.
Yeah.
And it pops up on my screen when I'm on Zoom time. When I'm on Zoom. Like I said, girl, grammar's out the window. No one can say that when the news started saying that it was mostly minorities and Black people who were being impacted the greatest because a lot of us are essential workers, once that information hit the scene, then that's when people started going up to Capitals with guns talking about let us out, let us out, let us out. So when we talk about the racism that is deeply seated in the DNA of the United States of America, this woman, I literally saw a white lady holding a sign where it said, "Quarantine is slavery." Ma'am, they're literally asking you to not work.
And they're paying you.
And they're
paying you. Jesus Christ. I swear to God. And here's the other thing. This is one thing I noticed, is that all this stuff that came out, right? I mean, God bless them, but my fellow white women could not go 3 fucking weeks without the conversation being about us. I swear to, when all this stuff about Dalia came out, I was like, you guys, we can't give it a second. Like, just give it a second. I swear to God, it's like, you know in Peter Pan when Tinkerbell's like, clap for me. I'm dying. I was like, we're Tinkerbell. We are. So you're
saying that it was a few days before someone was going, well, that also happened to me. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that it's like one white woman came out, said, I was groomed by Chris D'Elia in the middle of a conversation where we were trying to get a man convicted for murdering a woman in the middle of the night. And she goes after this like very famous dude. And I'm not trying to say she's like I don't think that she did this to like hijack the conversation, but it did hijack the conversation. And
I see what you're saying. We were fighting for Breonna Taylor, and then she was like, well, I've been a victim too. Okay. Yes, y'all are prone to do that. Yes.
Yeah. And that is the thing that I'm like, I'm starting to see it it's so deeply embedded in the consciousness of America and of white women specifically, to make it about us. And I'm
you know Nate McIntosh's joke, right?
Yeah. I love that joke.
Man,
how he's like, it's amazing how you guys can make everyone struggle your struggle. He's like, apparently.
It's like you understand what it's like to be a black man, a gay man, a gay Black trans Filipino man. Girl, I put that on my fucking Instagram. People were like, this man is a fool. But yes, it was interesting that white privilege flipped to white male privilege real fast, because this is the fun thing I've noticed that, white women, or those lacking melanin to a certain extent, have been on the I'm a victim too. So I can understand where you were coming from, but white women do not acknowledge the fact that they have benefited from racism just as much as white men have.
Yeah.
And that is the dirty little secret because when you look at who was outside protesting when Ruby Bridges was going to school and desegregating the school, and when the Little Rock Nine were desegregating a school, who was outside screaming?
Right.
When Ruby Bridges was trying to desegregate a school, there were white women holding a coffin with a black baby doll in it. Because we've all seen the photo.
And this was not fucking long ago.
Ruby Bridges is only 60.
Yeah. I look at this and I go, okay, guys, it's shocking to me the number of people, of white women specifically, who just found out that police brutality was a thing.
Well,
and
because the police have been there to protect them. So why would you think the police are brutal? Because you know if you pick up a phone, you can take somebody out.
But Black people have been talking about this in their music, which we consume, in their comedy, which we consume, in their everything. So you are tuning that shit out.
Yes, there's a difference between not knowing and not caring.
And not
that's
listening.
been what, right, because you heard it. You heard it. You all knew. Think about the Amy Cooper girl who was in the park when that black man told her to leash her dog because this was a protected area, and she called the police. When you see the video, do you hear her voice change?
Yeah.
So that means that you know the power in what you were doing because you knew enough about the system to make yourself sound like you're in distress. So all of these people that are going, I didn't know. We're all old enough to know about Rodney King. You knew. You didn't care. But now you were in a situation that that is not under your control. You were being forced to stay in your home for your own safety, which is still wild that people can't conform to just acknowledging the fact that this is so we all don't die, right? So you know exactly what the campaign is, or the woman that was trying to call, the permit patty lady who was calling the police on a little girl selling water outside the building with no permit. She said, oh, I wasn't calling the police. I was just pretending to call the police. Meaning that you knew the power in calling the police. No one is unaware about what the police do to Black people. The problem is that white people don't care because that's a weapon that they can use. I don't have to have a gun on me.
Yeah.
I always have backup because if I call the cops,
right,
I know what's going to happen. So whenever I see situations like that, or when I'm hearing white people go, well, I didn't know, and I didn't know. Sweetheart, don't play that game with me.
Yeah.
The sky been blue, grass been green. And if you think you didn't know, then in the words of Tupac, crack don't sell. So I'm not here for that. You all knew. Everybody fucking knows. Yeah. Because if you know how to weaponize it, then you know the power behind it.
And
play with me.
And to take this like full circle, because earlier I was going, oh, you can't say to other comics, you can't say, oh, you all knew and you didn't do anything about it. Here's the thing. This is different because
I didn't know shit Crystalia was doing. I don't know that, man.
Yeah, but even if people did, with Crystalia, there's nothing really that they could have done. If you knew about what happens when you call the cops on a Black person, you know that you could just not call them. You could, and here's the thing, this is what blew my fucking mind, and this is what was driving me crazy with the performative posting, is I was going, okay, here's the thing. Every single one of you is like posting and posting and posting and posting. Not one person is just going, you know what? I swear to not call the cops again. I swear to not call the cops. And don't tell me, oh, but what if I'm raped? They're not going to believe you anyway. Okay?
Ah! She said that. That part. She said that, girl. They're not going to believe you if you get robbed. That's why they tell us if you get raped, yell fire.
Yeah.
This is my other thing with the sexual assault. I said, I don't know what had been happening, but it was something popping off. And I just said, there's an entire industry. There's self-defense classes, there's rape whistles, there's mace, there's tasers. There are all of these things that women are supposed to buy to protect themselves from being sexually assaulted. Yet when a woman says she was sexually assaulted, no one believes her.
Yeah.
So then why the fuck are you selling me self-defense classes and mace and brass knuckles and fucking boom boom sticks and all this other shit? And rape whistles. So we see a full industry that sells products to protect women from being attacked.
But you know what those are? Those are really, that's a whole industry that allows you to take care of yourself so you don't have to tell them shit that they don't want to listen to.
As in stop, because it's still the conversation has to be.
It's the whole like, hey, if you've got a problem with the cops, just, behave yourself around the cops.
Right.
Like it's the same thing.
It's the same thing because well, you had mace. How did you still get attached? Oh, because maybe he's a full grown fucking man. And like Rosebud, if some man who is 6'2" and 300 pounds comes at you, girl, unless you have a full on frame floor,
also, if somebody's coming at me and they're angry and they're a predator.
Up. Yeah.
I don't want to do something that's going to anger them more. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you're being attacked by a bear. Here's a can of fish.
Here's a whistle. I see you're getting attacked by a bear.
Here's a can of fish that you can smother on your body. And we'll see, that'll protect you. It's like you're just angering someone who's already angered. And
because we're not
at a certain point, you're just more bait.
Right. Because the conversation still has
I don't know if the fish thing really worked, but
I'll
work on that.
Well, not rubbing the fish on the body. It's taking a can of fish and throwing it in the other direction. Or there's a bear attacking you and you have a whistle.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is a full bitch? This is a grizzly bear. He think about this whistle. The only thing I could do is throw some fish at him and maybe he'll get distracted. But unless I got a whole other woman to throw at a man who's gonna fucking attack me, unless I got bullets in the chamber, me and this man gonna have a conversation and a confrontation. So the conversation still has not shifted to, because the onus of pregnancy is on women. Women, because I just watched this documentary last night on Mae West on PBS, and she was always villainized for her sexuality. And those morality people came at her scripts and everything. And she was like, I love the Morality League because they've made me so much money, basically. But the onus of pregnancy is on women. So women have been required to be more responsible when it comes to sex because we're the ones that make new people. So our sexuality is denied because it's like, I remember doing a show at the Knitting Factory and a stupid ass comic got up and was just talking about, just went on this tear about how useless the female orgasm is. And I've heard this joke. And I was like, oh, what? And I got on stage and I was like, you stupid motherfucker. Do you understand how important the female do you understand why we have multiple? First of all, you have to know how uterus works, you dumb. The reason that you have an orgasm is so there's muscle contractions that can pull the semen to the ovaries to where the egg is, you dumb bitch. And the reason we have multiple orgasms is so it can increase the chances of pregnancy because that's what the fuck we're supposed to be doing here anyway, you fucking dumb. So because you don't understand how biology works, because you don't understand how women work, and because your fucking pleasure is more important than anybody else's, that's why you think this is a useless situation, which lets me know you can't fuck, right? So crowd cheering, and he leaned over to and Sydney was like, he asked if he could go back up, and she was like, No. What? This isn't a debate, you jackass. You said your stupid joke. I debunked it and then proceeded to go on with my set. This is not the kind of debate. This is not a courtroom.
Yeah, it's like you wrote a joke based off a premise that was untrue. And anybody that knows anything about comedy knows that if you're going to do a premise that isn't true, you got to do a couple of jokes to get to that place so that the premise seems true for the joke to work. Because you cannot write a joke from an untrue premise. Period. The end. It won't work.
Especially if that untrue premise is the only point you're trying to make. Because we've seen other comics take that premise, but then in the end, they end up making themselves the asshole because they know it's not true.
Yeah.
You, on the other hand, are fully dedicated to this erroneous information.
Yeah.
And because when he said it, some girl started booing. He was like, no. So you calm down the crowd to continue to be wrong. Me, on the other hand, I'm stretching like, let me at him. Let me at him. I can't wait till he's fucking done with this thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, who's next, Dulce? And they're like, get him. I'm like, oh, darling, I plan to. But it's the same thing where it's like women have been for so long, and people want to blame it on, Christianity. But there were cultures that didn't even have Christianity. That this has always been what the thought process was. When you have cultures that had infanticide, because I was always confused about infanticide, because I was like, someone had to let this woman grow to adulthood so she could have the baby you're currently trying to kill. So if you don't let the girls live, who's going to have these boys that you covet? You still have to have women to birth children. If you kill all the fucking women.
I don't know how we got to infanticide.
Well, it's just, these are all the things that kind of bounce off when it comes to like men and women's relations, and when it comes to how women are seen. And, so many of friends now, like, I'm not getting married because, it was about property, but it was like, it just depends on, in some places it was a joining of two houses. In some places it was property. And some, like, it's always been taken certain ways. But when I look at the planet as a whole and see that women have always been treated this way across the entire planet. And then when I look at, okay, now we're trying to fix it.
Right.
And I'm looking to a group of women to help me.
Yep.
Who have made their needs and concerns at the forefront of the fight. Yeah. And then can't figure out why other women don't want to fight with them.
Right.
Because it's like, if what you need is always going to come before me because of racism, because of, systematic racism, systematic oppression, all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I going to fight with a bitch I'm not fighting with friendly fire.
Right.
For every step we take, then you look back and go, no, bitch, we got to fix this shit first, because when it comes to me, when it comes to just the fight for equality, when it comes to, women, as in all women, trans women, I don't care. She's a woman. I'm time to cherry pick. There are so many different groups of women.
Yeah.
So it's not only because it's women of color can acknowledge the racism that we experience that white women don't experience, and white women don't like to acknowledge when it comes to feminist issues. And then there's a racism among people of color with other people of color.
Right.
But we understand that all of us together are still being oppressed by these white folks, because that's just how the country is set up. So we can acknowledge the struggles of each other. I don't have the same issues as, Latinx women or Asian women, or I don't have those issues because we're all dealing in certain places.
Yeah.
No one's ever called Black people a model minority. They're trying to kill us. I don't have to deal with that bullshit.
Right.
But then we're all being grouped in with these white women who are just like, guys, let's, like, bitch, you can't.
And here's
we're
the
all
thing.
women. We have all the same struggles. And it's like, we keep telling white women forever we don't have the same struggles. And a lot of these women are like, well, I mean, I think you're just trying to make yourselves more important than this. It's like,
and it's
what?
like that is what that is when you feel guilty about some part of who you are, you place that onto someone else. You externalize it, right? You put it onto someone else. You project it onto someone else. And that is something that I noticed in myself. It happened to myself. The first time I heard the term white feminism, I got so defensive. I got so defensive. And because of the parts of me that hadn't really acknowledged how I was raised in a racist system, and that it had embedded itself in parts of my fucking psyche. And that just like the beliefs that I had about myself that were damaging, I had those beliefs about minorities, and all of it is damaging to me. It is a human problem. Like, it is not a problem that exists outside of us. And if you really kind of learn to face up to like all the beliefs that you kind of just inherit as a kid, because you have a fucking mush brain, and your lizard brain is just like, oh, this is what I'm being taught, and I guess that's true because my parents are God, it will make you a better person, although you won't feel like a good person while you're acknowledging it. You won't get any pats on the back. You won't feel like nobody's gonna clap for you. And
that's the problem now.
Yeah, it's like when I saw, I mean, especially because it was all on the internet, I just didn't believe any of it. I was just like, and I don't know if that's even fair, because I know that the stuff that I posted, I meant, but I was like, I don't feel that this is really making any kind of a difference. I think the things that have made a difference is the fact that I don't call the cops. All right. I don't surround myself with only white people. Those two things have made a bigger difference in my life than any petition I've signed. And in the lives of, I think, the minorities that are in my life, because they know that, like, I've had black women friends have called me up to bitch about how black men are fucking white women while I've been fucking a black man. So I know.
So it's basically in their brain, just like, no, Rosebud's not no, Rosebud's not the same. No,
they know that I'm not going to take it personally, that I'm not going to make it about me, And
but see, most people would. And the thing is, I think that's just an interesting conversation to have. Because I know for me, it'd have been like, because I don't know if it's like, oh, she's cool, or it's like low-key shit. I ain't figured that out. I don't know the intent. I don't know where the place that came from.
Neither do I, but I didn't feel, it didn't really matter, because the point is, when it happened, I thought the same thing. I mean, I'm a human being, so I was like, is this shade, or is this like, and do I stand up for the guy that I'm with, or what do I do here, right? And I just thought to myself, it doesn't really fucking matter, Rosebud. Just listen. Just listen. That's it. You don't have the answer for this, so just listen.
And I think that's the issue right now, is everyone's looking for. Phoebe Robinson posted something today where it's just like, since as a black person, I can look like, my mother told me about when she started going to an integrated school. That's my mother. Yeah. I'm only 36.
Yeah.
My mother's not even 60. So I can go one generation back and be like, Mommy, what was it like the first time you went to school with white people? That's one generation back. Or when I can ask my mother about the time the cops would fuck with her, or all of my uncles. My mother has 4 brothers. The oldest one is 70.
Yeah.
Or the fact that my grandfather fought in World War II and then came back to Florida and was fighting in Italy and Europe for America.
Yeah.
And was completely disrespected when he got back. Because the GI Bill was actually racist, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So for us, we can see America's crawl to getting to, okay, the fact that there were more Black senators in Congress, right, during Reconstruction than there are right now has to tell you something. Yeah. Or when we talk about, I saw this thing where it's like all these, different groups of women celebrating, women getting the right to vote. Black women did not get the right to vote when suffrage happened. We were not included.
Right.
Now, Black men got the right to vote before white women because they were still men.
Right.
White women didn't get the right to vote. What was it? The 19th Amendment was ratified in 1920, I think, to give them the right to vote.
I think so. Yeah.
It was 100 years. And I was watching this going, I was like, why are these Black women celebrating with these white women getting the right to vote? We didn't get the right to vote until the Civil Rights Act.
Yeah.
We got the right to vote 40 years after white women.
That's so fucking long.
So women of color
that is
could
so
not
fucking
vote.
40 years.
Yeah. It was 40, 43. Yeah. So it's 40 years after white women got the right to vote that Black women and other women of color got the right to vote.
Yeah.
So I'm not holding hands with you heifers, because when they talked about because when it was brought up about Black women voting as well, they said no.
Yeah.
They did not want to include us in the suffrage movement.
Right. Yeah. And this is the thing. Like,
ain't kumbaya with you cows.
Right. So there's women there's women who are listening to this, and I think a lot of my fans are white women. So and most of them have been writing in and being like, I've been getting a lot out of like your conversations lately, because ever since the BLM stuff, I've just been bringing on people of color, just like one after another, and having these kind of conversations because they fucking need to be had. And also, here's one of the things that I think is a problem, is that a lot of white people are surrounded by white people. So they don't get to have these conversations. They don't get to hear what they sound like. They don't get
even though they should be having
even though they should. Yes. And it's, and you do need to acknowledge that if you are surrounded by white people, no matter where you live, you are making a conscious choice to leave people of color outside of your circle. You could easily make friends with, get to know people of color, talk to them, it's not impossible. I don't give a shit where you live. I don't care if it's in the middle of Ohio. Okay. It doesn't,
there's Black people on
you're
the internet
making up excuses. Yeah.
Also, there's Black people there's Black people in Gary, Indiana. Like, you can figure it. My friend was in a Black Lives Matters march in Fort Wayne, Indiana. You can figure it the fuck out. But yeah, I think about.
But also, I think that guilt, like white guilt, is honestly the first thing that, this is going to be controversial, the first thing that's got to go, because it is not a useful tool to talk to other people. If anything, it keeps it all about you and all about your feelings, and you start asking. It's like if somebody tells you somebody dies and you go, I'm so sorry, and then you start crying, all of a sudden they got to comfort you about their loss.
Yes. Oh, your uncle died, I lost my uncle. I was like, we're not doing this. Just so there was a couple years ago, there was someone had put together, it was like a pub crawl. It was one of those things that I was putting on like a pub crawl or something. But basically, it was, I don't know what shady ass person put this together, but it was in Atlanta, and it was so it was like, Are you a are you a white person in Atlanta that doesn't know any black people? Let's do bop, 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 bop. And I was talking to one of my friends who is Indian, like Southeast Asian. And he was like, do you know how hard you have to work to not know any black people and live in Atlanta?
Yeah.
The conscious dodging of physical humans.
Yeah.
Especially at your job.
Right.
Because we work in everybody's office. There's not a single office building in Atlanta that does not have at least 10 black women working there in some form or fashion. So, because this is the thing that's always confused me. I was talking to someone and I was like, if, these conservatives ever got their wish, because they love to tell us to go back to Africa. One white boy was talking that noise one day. I said, you can go back to Europe if you're pissed about us being here. He was like,
go back to Europe.
Well, why would I go back? Right. I was like, what you mean go back to Europe? And I was like, aren't you British or French or none of those are America.
Yeah.
We both came here on boats.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to fuck back, how about you go the fuck back? And it knocked him back for a second because he was like, I never thought that way. I said, of course you don't.
Yeah.
Because being American is synonymous with whiteness. So of course you don't think, you'll say fully, I've got British and German and and Italian and all these other different backgrounds. But for you, it's just a thing to say.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're a white man, you're an American.
I would say being American is synonymous with whiteness talking about how being American is being synonymous with being from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's always like white people talking about how it's the most diverse country and it's beautiful, but it's like,
but you don't want to see
evidence points to the contrary.
They tried to con us into believing that America was a melting pot. America was a melting pot for white European immigrants because they were able to assimilate. The rest of us was the term I was given in high school, which is a salad bowl. Meaning, we're all inhabiting the same space, but I'm still staying a tomato, you're still staying lettuce, somebody else is staying cheese, and we're all cohabiting the same space, but we're all separate in what we are. And then you throw some ranch on that bitch, and that's America. So no one ever melds together. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because as fun as the Chinatown is, as fun as a Koreatown is, or Little Ethiopia, or even your Little Italy's.
Yeah.
Those places were on purpose.
Right.
Those people didn't get together and go, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to get a couple blocks, sell our shit. Fuck these people. No. They were told that this is where you can live.
Yeah.
We don't want y'all nowhere else. So you take your ethnic ass and sit in these 6 blocks.
Yeah.
And we going to have a rest of a fucking city. And that's why you have those because people are like, why are they concentrated like that? Because they weren't allowed to be nowhere else.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to be nowhere else. So, yeah, a Chinatown is cute, but you think all of them wanted to live on top of each other like that? You think somebody didn't want to be somewhere and have some space?
Right.
So when it comes to the white guilt, like I had a girl in college apologize to me for slavery. I was like, bitch, we're both 19. Who is this apology for?
Right.
Unless you want to get a seance and call up on one of the ancestors, this ain't got nothing to do with me. What you can apologize for is how you got upset with me that I have a minority scholarship. That's what you can apologize to me for.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, look at you, look at yourself.
But it's not about you, because this is why for this to work, for all of this systematic shit to actually end, we can't have another panel discussion where it's people of color pouring our hearts out and telling white people what they're doing wrong. And then they pat themselves on the back and go, we listened. No. If you're going to do a panel, there needs to be an action afterwards. There needs to be a fucking game plan. And we're not going to have any game plans unless every white work person can look at themselves and go, I am compliant and I benefit from white supremacy and systematic racism in this country. There's too many white people going, but I didn't do anything.
Right. If you're a white woman and you've ever been pulled over and I know you fucking done it. If you've ever been pulled over for speeding and the cop stopped you and was like, do you know how fast you were going? And you started crying, you know what the fuck you did.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you did. And listen,
I mean, I've tried it.
So I know you did it. Like,
I've tried it, and I think the cop was so surprised to see a black woman cry, he didn't know what the fuck to do.
He was like, well, this just
what's it doing?
Line up with any of the stereotypes.
Is this supposed to be yelling? I thought it was supposed to be, they cry? Oh, this was, like I said, I got a bit about it. Like, this bitch is broken. What happened? I need a new model. She needs an upgrade. This black woman's crying? What is this? She's broken.
It's like a glitch in the Matrix for him.
Look at the fucking Matrix. Like, if I'm telling you, this cop was like, what's wrong? Because I had my hands up on the glass and I was so upset. And he was like, what's wrong? I was like, I had my hands on the glass because I didn't want you to think that he was like, no, you didn't do anything. I was just telling you that the lights over your tag were out. You're okay. And I was like, thank you so much. But I was a black cop, so he would have gave a fuck. But I've cried in front of white cops before, and it's been like what's wrong? What happened?
I got pulled over with Andy in a car that we'd borrowed, right? This was in January. We got pulled over in a car that we'd borrowed. It was from a black friend of ours, and the plates had been stolen, right?
So you just said what the tag applied for, or plate stolen on a piece of paper, basically?
Basically, yeah, because she put the plate in the back window, right? Because the back plate hadn't been stolen, so she wanted to prove that she had the plates, but they weren't up because she didn't want to get pulled over because she's black. So she didn't. Right. But then that led to, and this is like just one of the ways that the system's so fucked up for you guys, is that then those plates were used to commit a bunch of felonies. And then me and Andy got pulled over and immediately handcuffed because the guy who'd stolen those plates had like robbed a bank and like done some bad shit, right?
But this is the thing.
And we had to explain to the cops, we had to be like, listen, this car, we borrowed this car from our friend. She's a black woman. She didn't want to get pulled over by you guys. And we can't blame her for that, but this isn't our car. And the plates were stolen. So you got the wrong people. But the only fucking way they would have listened to us, this is the LAPD, I'm like, we were fucking cuffed and in the back of their car in 2 seconds. And the whole time they were doing it, Andy was looking at them like a waiter got his order wrong. I mean, it was the most, he was like, are you fucking kidding? Like, it was crazy to watch him.
But this lets you know the incompetence of these police, because whenever there is a tag, there's also a description of a vehicle. So the way that he knew that those tags did not belong to that car is because there's a VIN number and a description of the car attached to every license plate.
Yeah.
And you can see just by the emissions, because every emission sticker has the make, year, model, and the VIN number of the car. That's why you can't steal an emission sticker. Because that was the thing in Atlanta for a while. People were stealing people's emission stickers. Not the license plate, just the sticker, right?
Yeah.
So if you pull you over, like, okay, because her tags got stolen and she got new tags.
I mean, I don't really remember. All I know is that, like, I don't remember the details of it. I just remember that we had one of the plates in the back window, right? The other plate was stolen. So she had applied for new plates, but she hadn't gotten them, and she didn't want to we just had the plate in the back.
She couldn't drive with no plates on the car.
Right. So we just had the plate in the back, and we were like, listen, this is tricky, but here's the thing. We borrowed the car. The woman's black. She didn't want to report the plates because she didn't want to get pulled over by you guys. And so, because if she reported the plates as stolen, they would have seen her plate, and it would have looked like she'd stolen the, exactly.
Right.
But then that ended up happening anyway because the plates were stolen to do a bunch of fucking crimes.
This is my question. Were the plates stolen and put on a different car?
Yeah.
That matched the description of her car?
I don't know.
Because that's, again, what makes it stupid. Because if you have a red Honda Civic committing fucking crimes with this plate, and then you've got a silver Corolla not committing crimes with the same plate, you know something is up.
Yeah.
But the red car was committing crimes. This car wasn't. And if I tell you the plate was stolen, why the fuck am I in handcuffs? But so this is what I was saying, because I saw somebody say something the other day, and it was like, no one who is guilty should be killed by the police either.
No shit.
Meaning, if I don't, as any person, because this is the thing I'm saying to somebody, I was like, everybody in America is taught how to interact with the police. The fact that white girls know they might be able to cry and get out of a ticket. The fact that everybody now knows that you have to say no, sir, and yes, sir, even though you might not even be a person who says that in your fucking life. So there is a certain way that everybody's demeanor has to change.
Yeah.
When dealing with a police officer.
But here's the difference.
No. The difference is that what white people have to do is not anywhere to the level of what black people have to do.
Like, what were you taught when you were a kid? How were you taught to greet the police?
Yes, sir, no, sir. But I'm also from the South, so I greet everybody yes, sir, no, sir.
Yeah.
Also, do not go for your license and registration before he gets to you.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying.
Taught literally to say, hello, officer friendly.
No, that's cute shit.
So like,
I remember they told us that dumb shit in school, and we were like, that'll gonna get us killed. So they told us, hello, officer friendly. Are you fucking with me? No. And then I met the Lord. No. So it's because you want to get your paperwork out and give it to, like, okay, here's my license, here's my registration, boom, here you go. No. Because this is what else they'll do. If you have all that stuff prepared, they will stall you the fuck out.
Sorry.
I've had so I bought a used car, and I had all of the stuff. I had the bill of sale, I had the license, I had the registration, I had all of my shit. Yeah. And the first time I got pulled over, he was like, can I have your license here? So I had a tag applied for a thing on the back of my car. It's like 2001. And then he was like, where's your bill of sale, title, license, all that shit. Hand him that.
Yeah.
Okay, he's gone for 2-3 minutes. Boom, just making sure he leaves. Second time I get pulled over. Mind you, might have been a week later. Second time I get pulled over. I go to hand him license and all of this stuff. This fucker, older white cop, younger white cop shows up, because Atlanta at one point was doing something where they wouldn't have a single cop go to a call. It always had to be 2 cops. And this is Gwinnett County. This isn't even the city of Atlanta. So this old fucker, no, it was the young dude, and the old one showed up. He was like, I don't need all of that. I hand him my license, right? He comes back. Can I get the bill of sale? I'm like, here's all the stuff. Leaves and comes back. Can I get the registration? I'm like, here's all the stuff. I don't need all of that. Yeah. Now can I have your proof of insurance? So he makes me piecemeal all of this stuff to him, then makes me get out of the car. And I'm like, why am I out here? I gave you all of the stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, and I was like, I wasn't. And he's like, well, you don't have a tag. I said, I'm within the 30 days. I'm not expected to have a tag because you have to mail me one.
Right.
And at the time, Georgia didn't give you temporary tags. They literally would tell you, put a piece of cardboard on the back, hi, Andy, and then be done.
Andy.
So they make me stand out there in the July sun of Georgia in my fucking waitressing outfit until him and this older cop, who were just fucking with me, because I tried to give him all the info at once. Finally gives me all the stuff back. Let me go on about my way. A couple of days later, I get pulled over again. So this is 3 times I've been pulled over in a 2-week period, right?
Yeah.
So the last time I get pulled over, because I guess they called it in or something, they quit pulling me over. I was dating this Mexican dude at the time, and I was dropping him off at his house. So I was still within the miles from my house that I had been pulled over the 2 other times.
Right.
And so I drive past, and I see a cop car sitting there, and I know they see him, and I go, I'm about to get pulled over. And he's like, what do you mean? And I said, they saw you, saw tag applied for, I'm about to get pulled over. So as soon as I say that sentence, they pull us over. I pull into the shopping center. This white lady gets out. White lady cop goes, ma'am, did I pull you over? You know why? I said, yes, because I have a tag applied for sign on my car. Here is my license, my bill of sale, my registration, and everything. Boom. So I hand it to her. She's not gone 2 minutes. She comes back. Yeah, I should have known you were good. You have everything in order. She's like, I should have known when you handed me everything. And then she goes, yeah, because she ducks down, looks him dead in the face, and goes, some people around here ride around with tag applied for longer than they're supposed to. I bust out laughing. She goes, have a nice night. She goes to the car, and he was like, she was going to say Mexican, wasn't she? I was like, yeah, sweetheart. Yeah, she was. I am laughing my ass off because it was the boldest fucking move, because she ducked down, looked this man dead in his face. And this was like 12 o'clock at night. Looked him dead in his face.
All right.
To confirm. But yeah, so when it comes to goofy shit, but again, it was the same. Every time you're pulled over, you have to deal with the cops a certain way to let you know that even though there's not always physical violence, there's still an implied danger.
Yeah.
For innocent people for dealing with the police. Exactly.
So I don't mean to immediately switch, but we have to wrap this up.
No, I know we went over.
Amazing. You've been amazing. Thank you so much. So this is
this is the bad advice part, Rosebud?
Yeah, we're going to do bad advice.
Rosebud Marie. I don't know if I do the bad advice.
Okay. So this is, all right. Hi, Rosie, longtime fan. I love you. How's Patty doing? Patty is Justin Bieber's mom, and considering he was accused of sexual assault in 2014, I would imagine she's not doing great. Okay.
But he's married fine. He's married now, right?
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Anyway.
Not my business.
Okay, for advice. My friend from college just yelled at me about why COVID is fake, and she's sick of wearing masks and staying inside. This was written on June 14th. So she took to her Snapchat to show all the fun things she's doing without a mask on, while on Instagram portraying herself as this woke girl, reposting a bunch of generic BLM stuff. I tried to have a civil convo with her about her actions and how they contradict her stance on BLM, to which she said I'm being petty. Completely disregarded all the facts I respectfully laid out for her. Is this enough grounds to end a friendship? I'm leaning towards yes, but would also love to hear you roast my friend. Thanks, Rosebud. Thank you.
Your friend is exactly what I dealt with recently and had to end one correspondence and one quote unquote friendship with a gentleman. So it is definitely, if you want bad advice, I would say that you start sending her over coffin selection, asking her how she would like to be buried, what outfit she would prefer to wear. Would she like an Instagram filter to be placed on her corpse? Just really asking her.
Ask her for her Snapchat. Ask her for her Snapchat password. You know, she's obviously active on Snapchat, which is shocking because nobody
I thought Snapchat was over.
Yeah, same. So she needs to, hand over the password. You can Snapchat her whole funeral, and you can delete it afterwards, which is exactly what she did with the information that she learned about BLM. So,
or what you can do better, change her password, but link it to your email so she can't recover it, but she knows that it's there.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That, my friends, is some beautiful bad advice from Dulce Sloan. Dulce, you've been a fucking amazing guest. What do you want to plug?
I have started a podcast recently called That Black Ass Show. And I am interviewing Black creatives and maybe some other people of color and asking them about the Black TV shows and movies and plays and all of the Black stuff that, you know, shape the world and always continue to shape the world. So I'll leave y'all with this nugget. If these crazy white folks ever get their wish for all the Black people to go back to Africa, if we did, these same white folks would go, oh my God, how could they leave us after everything we did for them? Also, I am currently in the process of looking at repatriating to Ghana. At least need an escape plan. Ghana has made it their mission because Ghana, if you are a Black person from the diaspora, and actually, I think any Black person, I think, can become a citizen of Ghana.
Oh shit.
They passed a law, and it was like, if you could be Black from Kenya, you could be Black from Germany, you could be Black from Australia, you could be Black from Puerto Rico, whatever. If you roll up in Ghana and be like, hey man, I want to come home, they'll be like, all right, fill out this form. Now you're a citizen. Legit.
Holy shit.
So yeah, me and Sam J were just like, yo man, we might have to get the fuck up out of here.
Yeah.
Truly. I ain't leaving no time soon. But it would be nice to have land somewhere. And just to know, it's like, because the thing that annoyed me with all of this going on was that they were showing, you know, oh, there's protests in London and there's people in New Zealand doing a haka for us, which was amazing. If you've never seen a haka, get into it. But I was like, you're telling me nowhere on the entire continent where we are descended from that they're not protesting for us, that they don't see this? And there were multiple places on the African continent that were protesting the murder of George Floyd, and the media didn't say anything. They're protesting Ghana, there's protests in South Africa and Kenya, and in Ghana, and there were 2 in Nigeria. So they don't want us to think that we even have support from the people where we share DNA with. Because the president of Ghana got up and said, this fight is for anybody with this skin.
Yeah.
But y'all don't want us to see that. Y'all want us to think that we out here on our own and the whole continent don't care about us.
Yeah.
Because that's what's beneficial. So y'all tried to send us back. Frederick Douglass said no. And then you saw how much money. That's how Liberia started.
Yeah.
So no, y'all want us to think that we don't have any support from where we're from, but we know that's not true.
Right.
There was rubble on a building in Syria and 3 men did a mural of George Floyd. So the whole world is in a place where everybody is scared. And everybody doesn't understand what's going on. And we're wearing masks and we're wearing gloves and we can't hug our loved ones and we can't do any of these things. And then the whole world saw that on top of everybody being afraid and everybody staying alive, and breathing in can literally kill you. Yeah. Y'all are still putting your foot on our necks, on these people's necks.
And you know what's fucking crazy is that
that's what hit everybody.
And then after he was murdered, they go, oh, well, he had COVID. And it's like, okay, so you murdered him twice?
They said he had COVID. I thought they said he had illegal money on him.
They said all kinds of shit. They were like, oh, he also had COVID. It's like,
but y'all ain't murdering nobody with COVID. Y'all not, it's so easy to get counterfeit money. Like, there's so many, but it's like, also, and that's the other.
It's like, saying he had COVID is like being like, well, we killed him one way and then also a second way. Like,
but also there's plenty of people that have recovered from having COVID.
No shit. But it's like, they're trying to say, oh, he had COVID. Like, that's why he died. It wasn't because somebody kneeled on his neck for, 9 minutes.
8 minutes and 46 seconds. Yeah.
So
You see how the devil works? You see how this lie? You see how we always have to be the bad guy. You see how we can never be, because we can't.
Yeah.
And people are programmed to think that they're the enemy. And it's a weird place to be in. It's a weird place to be in, because I have just always wondered why my entire life, why white people won't leave us the fuck alone. Because you've put us in these, you've used redlining and gerrymandering and all these other things, and voter suppression and police oppression and systematic. You've done all of these things.
Yeah.
To make sure that we were away from you.
Right.
But still won't leave us the fuck alone.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's like a very weird thing where I think
it's an abusive relationship. That's what it is.
It absolutely, where you feel so guilty that then you keep asking for forgiveness, and it's like this kind of, it's like, please love me, but if we've been awful, why are we asking
it's
for
two
you
things.
guys to fix it? And anyway, we're
guilt.
Literally getting into a second conversation.
Right. Well, I'll wrap it up with this.
We should do a second episode, honestly. We should do it.
There's the guilt, and then there's fear. There's some going, I feel guilty, I'm sorry, forgive me, love me. And then there's other going, and that's where you have the NRA shows up, and that's where you have all of these laws, when you have all of these things that you put together to disenfranchise us, because it's fear and guilt go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. So you're even if you feel any guilt about what you've done, you know what you would do if put in the same situation.
Right.
So I feel like that so many white people are so afraid of black people because they can't understand why we haven't retaliated, why we haven't sought revenge, why we haven't burned this fucking country down, why we haven't done any of the things that to them seem the most feasible. But we've seen that when we are just living our lives, we can be murdered. We can be snatched off the street, lynched. All kinds of shit can happen to us. Look at the Tulsa massacre. Those people were living their lives, and their whole neighborhood got bombed, and they got murdered. And they lived in that neighborhood because you would not let them live other places.
Yeah.
So if we're doing nothing.
She took a sip of water.
I was already coughing before.
She's about to preach. She's about to preach.
I'm fine. I had a dry spot.
You okay?
You get a dry spot and you try to drink water and no help.
Yeah, and then it just sounds like you're about to cry when you talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So if we did nothing, we were murdered. If we do something, that's what it is. It's the fear that white people have of us because we haven't retaliated.
Right. Have another sip of water.
Thank you. Because I sound like I'm underwater as well.
Yeah.
There she is.
She's back.
We did it. But you see what I'm saying? So I think it's not so much as the guilt. I think it's just, why aren't they snatching us out of our homes and killing us?
Yeah.
Because that's what we would do if somebody treated us like this. But you have that mindset because you came from a position of power. But we've been made to be powerless. So it's now we just want to be left the fuck alone.
Right.
But it's still a constant attack.
Yeah.
Because you're waiting for the day for all of us to go. Like, we think there's like a power, like it's a switch in all of us, and it's just like, all right, January 3rd, 1986, we burning these fuckers down. Like, that's not how this happens.
Right.
We looked at the same history, y'all. We've been taught we listen. You can't say to us that, looting and rioting and all of this shit when you showed me the Boston Tea Party, when you showed me the American Revolution and the Civil War and the French Revolution and the Spanish Revolution and you showed me that property damage
is the thing that works.
Can change shit.
Yeah. Especially in a capitalist society, you start fucking with people's money.
That's the first thing my mama told me. The only thing white people care about is money. You fuck up a white man's money, that's how shit changes. That's how the buses in Birmingham got desegregated. They didn't ride the bus for 384 days. They didn't all of a sudden change their mind about segregation. The bus system was about to go they were about to go bankrupt. And that's when stuff happened.
Yeah.
But we could go on forever, girl. I know you gotta live your life, and I know these white folks are tired of me telling them they, do something wrong.
No, I'm so happy you came on. I really am, and I appreciate you talking to me about this stuff. And
well, I can talk to you about it because one, you have an understanding. Two, you have a heart for. It's gonna sound fucked up. You have a heart for us, as in. You can see the experiences of what's happened to your friends and loved ones.
Yeah.
And can see I was raised in a system that is fucked up. I have things inherently that I was taught that I need to fix. And you're seeing it as it's really happening.
Yeah.
As opposed to, but I didn't do anything, which is the first place most white people go, as opposed to saying, I have benefited from this system, even though I am a woman. Yes, I am a woman, but I am still white.
Yeah.
And this entire system was set up to protect me. I can kill any black person I want at any moment by calling the fucking police.
Yeah.
And you can acknowledge that. Yeah. So I've had these other conversations with people, and it's the whole, but I did this and pat me on the back and all this other shit. I'm not patting you on the back because you didn't do anything. Yeah. The fact that you are acknowledging, and the fact that I know you can have a real conversation with another white person, and you are not afraid of having a conversation with another white person as to what is actually happening, that is beneficial to me.
Good.
I don't need somebody. No one saw the Black Lives Matter NASCAR car coming. No one saw that coming. No one saw that coming. And I was like, NASCAR did what? Who? What?
Yeah.
Why? Right? Aunt Jemima and all these other things that are happening. I'm like, good, fine. So again, this goes back to saying, you knew what the problem was.
Yeah.
You didn't care.
Yeah.
And now I can see people are starting to care, because this is the thing. I cannot break down a system I am a victim of.
Right.
The abuser cannot look at the victim and go, tell me how to stop abusing you. That's not how this works.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like anyway, we really have to wrap it up. We've gone way over time, but I have to send this. I have to send this to LA. I have to send this to LA, and they've got to fucking edit it. So listen, I want to have you back on, because I feel like this has been such a fucking great podcast. And and I hope that listeners, I hope you guys have taken a lot out of this. I hope they
didn't turn it off and go, this black lady's telling me I'm a bad person.
Honestly, if you did, you can feel guilty. You can feel guilty for that. That's something you should feel guilty about. No, I stand by everything I've said. Dulce, you are fucking awesome. I love you so much.
You too, friend.
And where do they follow you?
I am on the Instagrams. I am on, my favorite thing is Instagram, because I'm a visual learner. Twitter, been on it since 2012. Don't understand it.
What's your handle?
At Dulce Sloan. It's DULCE. My mother went to college. I was not named after clothes. So it's Dulce Sloan on Twitter, Instagram, and the Book of Faces. And my podcast, That Black Ass Show, is on iTunes and the Spotify's and all the other places. And
awesome.
I've got IGs IG in that Black Ass Pod. And
The Daily Show.
And I'm on The Daily Show. Yes. And my cartoon, The Great North, comes out next year. And we just found out we're getting a second season, even though it hasn't even come out yet.
That's awesome.
Your girl is King Rosebud.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you, friend. Right. Just out here trying to pay my mama's mortgage. So
hell yeah. You're a good daughter. God, I can't wait to be the patriarch of my family. You guys, thank you so much for listening. You can follow me at Rosebud Baker on Instagram, Twitter. You can follow the podcast at DEVILSADVOCATEPod.ATC on Instagram. And you can write in if you want some bad advice. Write into me at devilsadvocatepod DEVILSADVOCATEPOD.ATC@gmail.com. I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.